Your soulmate's heart is a locked box, and you have the key. Don't ignore this. Have you ever looked into the eyes of the person you love, or the person you're destined to be with, and felt like there was a wall you just couldn't climb, a part of them that remained out of reach, no matter how close you stood? It's a heavy feeling. It's that quiet ache in your chest late at night when the world goes silent, and you find yourself wondering, is there more? Or am I just imagining this distance? If you're watching this right now, in this very moment, I need you to understand something. This isn't a coincidence. In our modern world, we are often taught to be independent, to be strong, and to keep our guards up. We build fortresses around our hearts to survive the chaos of life. And your soulmate, they've done the exact same thing. Their heart is currently a locked box. Inside that box isn't just feelings. It's the raw, unfiltered truth of who they are. It's their childhood dreams that were laughed at, the fears they never dared to whisper, and the immense love they are terrified to set free. They've hidden it so well that sometimes, even they can't find the way back in. But here is the truth that the universe wants you to hear today. You have the key. You weren't just chosen to be their partner. You were chosen to be their safe harbor. You carry the specific frequency, the spiritual signature, that matches the lock on their soul. Now I know what you're thinking. If I have the key, why is it still so hard? Why does it feel like I'm knocking on a door that won't open? Because a key is useless if you don't know how to turn it. Or worse, if you ignore the fact that you're holding it in the first place. Today, we are going deep. We are going to talk about the signs you've been overlooking, the divine timing that is shifting right now in your favor, and exactly how you can use your unique energy to unlock that box and experience a love that most people only read about in books. Don't ignore this, because once that box is opened, your life and theirs will never be the same again. Are you ready to see what's inside? Let's begin. Deep down, we all know that the most guarded people are often the ones who have loved the most intensely. In our fast-paced, high-pressure society, we are conditioned to believe that vulnerability is a liability. We are told to keep our cards close to our chest and never let them see us sweat. This cultural armor creates a unique kind of loneliness, a state where two souls can be in the same room, sharing the same bed, yet remain light years apart. Your soulmate's heart didn't become a locked box overnight. It was a slow, deliberate process of preservation. Think of it as a defense mechanism, a spiritual vault designed to protect the most precious cargo from a world that didn't always know how to handle it. For many, this locking process began long before you ever entered the picture. It started with childhood disappointments, where a not now from a parent felt like a never to a tender heart. It was reinforced by that first heartbreak, or the betrayal of a trusted friend who took a secret and turned it into a weapon. Every time they were told they were too much or not enough, another bolt was slid into place. Think about the psychological blueprint of the average household. We are raised in a culture of hustle and performance. From a young age, we are taught that if we aren't producing, we aren't valuable. This creates a specific kind of internal lock where your soulmate feels they must always present a success story to you. They hide their failures. They hide their moments of deep uncertainty because they are terrified that if the image of strength cracks, your love for them will crack too. This isn't just a personal fear, it's a systemic one. Every message they see, every social media post they scroll through, tells them that they need to be more, better, stronger. So they lock the parts of themselves that feel weak. They lock the parts that feel average. But in a soulmate connection, average is where the magic lives. It's in the quiet, unpolished moments that the key actually finds its grip. You must convince them that you are not in love with their resume, but with their essence. By the time they met you, the fortress was complete. They aren't trying to keep you out. They are trying to keep themselves safe. This is the fundamental misunderstanding that destroys so many potentially divine connections. We mistake their silence for indifference. We mistake their emotional distance for a lack of love. But in reality, their silence is often a scream for safety. When they pull away just as things are getting deep, it's not because they don't want to be near you. It's because the proximity is triggering an ancient alarm system that says, "Danger, you are being seen." To be truly seen is the most terrifying thing a human can experience. Because if you are seen, you can be rejected. If you are seen, you can be hurt in ways that no armor can prevent. You have to understand the specific weight of the ideal life on the human spirit. The constant need to perform, to be successful, and to appear put together. This pressure creates a massive internal shadow. Your soulmate likely feels that if they show you the unpolished version of their heart, they will lose you. They are trapped in a cycle of performing strength because they don't realize that your soul is actually craving their truth. This is why the box is locked. It's not a prison, it's a sanctuary. But a sanctuary can quickly become a cage if no one ever comes to visit the person inside. You might be noticing the physical signs of this lock right now. Maybe they spend more time on their device than looking at you. Maybe the conversations have become transactional, focused on the what of life instead of the why. You ask how their day was, and they say fine. You ask what they're thinking, and they say nothing. But nothing is never just nothing. Nothing is the sound of the lid closing. It is the sound of a soul that wants to speak, but hasn't yet found the frequency of safety it needs. Ignoring this distance is the most dangerous thing you can do for your spiritual path. When we ignore the locked box, we settle for a shadow relationship. We settle for a partnership of convenience rather than a union of souls. The universe didn't bring you together to just get by. You were brought together for alchemical transformation, to turn the lead of your past traumas into the gold of a conscious union. If you allow the lock to stay rusted shut, you are essentially telling the universe that you are okay with a half-lived life. What happens to a soul that stays locked away for decades? It begins to wither. Across the globe, we see a high rate of quiet desperation. It's the feeling of having everything, the comfort, the family, but feeling absolutely nothing inside. This is the ultimate price of ignoring the key. You aren't just risking a breakup, You are risking a life of shadows. When two people live in a shadow relationship, they are essentially ghosts in their own lives. They go through the motions, they attend the gatherings, but behind those smiles, the boxes are bolted shut. The energy in the home becomes heavy. The children feel it. The surroundings feel it. Even the walls seem to absorb the silence of the unsaid. This is why the universe is nudging you so hard right now. It is trying to save you from a polished life that has no pulse. It is inviting you back into the vibrant chaos of true intimacy. The key you hold isn't a physical object. It's not a magic phrase or a grand romantic gesture. In the spiritual realm, the key is vibrational resonance. It is the ability to hold a space so steady, so non-judgmental, and so profoundly loving. Imagine a flower. You cannot force a flower to bloom by pulling at its petals. You can only provide the right soil, the right temperature, and the right light. Eventually, the flower realizes it is safe to open. Your soulmate is waiting for you to prove that you can handle what's inside the box. They are testing the waters, often unconsciously, to see if you will react with fear or with grace. Every time you respond to their silence with patience, you are turning the key. Every time you share your own unfiltered fears, you are showing them the map to the lock. You are demonstrating that in this sacred space, the rules of the outside world do not apply. Here, vulnerability isn't a weakness. It is the ultimate currency of the soul. But make no mistake, this process requires a level of courage that most people aren't willing to tap into. It requires you to look at your own locked boxes too. You cannot unlock someone else's heart while your own is behind a wall. This is the mirror effect of soulmate connections. They are reflecting back to you the very parts of yourself that you have kept hidden. If they are guarded, ask yourself, where am I still guarding myself? Where am I still afraid to be fully known? The shift you are feeling in the spirit right now is a signal. The grace period for playing it safe is over. The energy on the planet is moving too fast for superficiality. You are being called to step into your role as a heart opener. You are being asked to stop waiting for them to change and to start being the frequency of the change you want to see. The lock is heavy. Yes. The box is old. Yes. But it was never meant to stay closed forever. It was kept closed specifically for this moment, for this person, for you, to be the one who finally hears the click of the lock falling away. Often, the most heartbreaking part of a soulmate connection is the silence that grows between two people who were meant to speak in melodies. You might be physically present, sitting on the same couch, but spiritually, there's a chasm a mile wide. This is what happens when the key is being ignored. You have to realize that in the spiritual economy, ignoring doesn't just mean being mean or cold. It means being distracted. We live in a world designed to keep us from looking too closely at anything. We get caught up in the grind, the notifications, the endless to-do lists that define modern life, and we fail to notice that our partner's eyes have lost their spark. One of the loudest signs that you are ignoring the key is the routine trap. This is when your relationship becomes a series of well-rehearsed transactions. You discuss the finances, the chores, or what to watch on a screen, it feels safe, it feels productive, but it is entirely surface level. You are talking to their persona, the mask they wear to survive the day, but you aren't talking to their soul. When you stop asking the deep questions, you are essentially leaving the key in your pocket and letting it rust. You are signaling to their heart that you are only interested in the parts of them that are convenient for your life. Another major sign is what I call the echo chamber of assumptions. You start telling yourself stories about why they are the way they are. You say, "Oh, they're just tired," or "they aren't the emotional type." These assumptions are dangerous because they are cement. They lock the box from the outside. By deciding you already know everything, you stop leaving room for them to surprise you. And for a soulmate who is trapped inside their own walls, there is nothing more suffocating than being known for all the wrong reasons. They feel like a prisoner in a story you've written for them. Have you noticed a sudden shift in their energy lately? Maybe a withdrawal that feels like a cold front moving in. This is often a reaction to a missed opportunity for connection. In every relationship, there are bids for connection, tiny, subtle moments where a soul reaches out to see if the other is paying attention. It could be a sigh, a look, or a lingering touch. If you are too busy to catch these bids, the soulmate's heart takes a mental note. Not safe, not heard, lock the door. If this happens enough times, the heart doesn't just lock, it retreats into a basement. You might think everything is fine because there are no big fights, but fine is often the most dangerous word in a spiritual union. It is the sound of a heart that has given up on being understood. The truth is, ignoring the key is a form of spiritual neglect. Giving space means you are standing at the door, lamp in hand. Giving up means you've walked away entirely. If you feel like you've become roommates, you are ignoring the divine purpose of your union. You are ignoring the fact that you were brought together to be mirrors for each other's healing. So, how do you stop ignoring the key? It starts with radical awareness. You have to become a spiritual detective. Start looking for the things they aren't saying. Watch the way their shoulders drop when they walk through the door. Listen to the tone of their voice, not just the words they use. The key is found in the nuance. In many cultures, we are obsessed with fixing things. We want a step-by-step plan to solve our problems, but you cannot fix a locked heart. You can only invite it to open. The first turn of the key happens when you offer radical presence. This means giving them 100% of your focused energy. No phones, no distractions. It means looking at them until you see the child inside them that is still scared of being rejected. When you look at your soulmate with that level of purity, the lock starts to feel a little lighter. The second turn of the key is vulnerability as a mirror. You cannot ask someone to show you their wounds while you are wearing a full suit of armor. If you want them to open their box, you have to be willing to open yours first. Tell them something you're ashamed of. Tell them about a fear you've been hiding from yourself. When you show your own messiness, it creates a vacuum of trust. This is the divine exchange. You give a piece of your soul to buy a piece of theirs. Don't ignore the small talk. Sometimes, the heart tests the lock by talking about meaningless things just to see if you'll stay engaged. If you can stay present and loving during the boring moments, the heart feels safe enough to move toward the deep moments. You have to prove that you are a long-term resident, not just a tourist. The most important thing to remember is that the key is not something you do, it is someone you are. You are the key. Your essence, your patience, and your refusal to settle are the tools of liberation. The universe is watching how you handle this responsibility. This isn't just about romance. This is about soul contracts. You signed up for this. You agreed to be the one who wouldn't give up on them. You agreed to be the one who would see through the walls. So, stop looking for excuses. The power is sitting right there in your heart, waiting for you to have the courage to use it. When the lock finally clicks, it is rarely with a loud bang. It is a soft, quiet surrender that feels like the entire room just took a deep breath. This is the moment of the opening. It is one of the most sacred experiences a human being can have. In our culture, we often confuse intimacy with physical closeness, but true soul-to-soul connection is something much deeper. It is the moment when the internal guard finally goes off duty, and for the first time, your soulmate feels like they don't have to be on. They can just be. As the box opens, you might expect a flood of sunshine and rainbows, but the reality is often more raw. What's inside a locked box has been in the dark for a long time. When it first meets the light, there might be tears. There might be a shaking in their voice as they tell you things they've never told another living soul. This is the divine floodgate. Your job in this moment is not to fix what they are showing you. You are not a mechanic, you are a witness. Sometimes we are so quick to offer a solution, but that is the fastest way to make someone lock their box right back up. When they show you their darkness, your only job is to hold the flashlight. This opening creates a spiritual bridge between your two hearts. Suddenly, you start to understand the why behind all the behaviors that used to frustrate you. You realize that their coldness was actually exhaustion. Their anger was actually a shield for insecurity. With this understanding comes a wave of compassion. You are no longer two separate entities fighting for space. You are a unified field. You begin to experience synchronicity, where you feel their shifts in mood even when you're miles apart. When the box opens, it triggers an alchemical shift in your reality. In the world of quantum spirituality, your external world is a direct reflection of your internal state. For years, the locked box has been creating static in your frequency. This static manifests as obstacles, physical fatigue, or a feeling of being blocked. But the moment that heart-to-heart connection is restored, the static clears. You are essentially upgrading your spiritual operating system. You will notice that people start treating you differently. You will notice that your physical body feels lighter, as if a literal weight has been lifted from your chest. This is because the energy that was being used to maintain the fortress is now being used to create your life. The power of two souls operating in total transparency is the strongest force on this planet. It is the force that moves mountains, and it is the force that is now being handed back to you. Once the box is open, the healing happens for the union. It actually begins to clear out the ancestral trauma from both of your family lines. You are breaking cycles of silence that may have existed for generations. But here is the divine warning. An open heart is a sensitive heart. Once that box is unlocked, your responsibility increases. You are now the guardian of their most vulnerable parts. You cannot take the secrets they told you in the dark and use them as weapons in an argument. If you betray the trust, the lock that returns will be 10 times stronger. This is why the universe waited until you were ready, until you had the maturity to handle this key. As you move into this phase, your external reality will shift too. An unlocked heart is like a power plant. It generates a massive amount of manifesting energy. Suddenly, opportunities start appearing, doors start opening. This is the reward for the brave work of soul opening. However, many people get to the edge of this opening and then they pull back. They get scared of the intensity. They realize that a soulmate connection isn't just a happy ending, it's a continuous beginning. It requires you to stay awake. It requires you to keep turning that key every single day. You have to make soul maintenance a part of your daily life. Think about the cost of staying in the locked state. There are millions of couples right now living parallel lives, like two ships passing in the night. They are waiting for someday to get close, not realizing that someday is a trap. The years turn into decades, and they end up with a life full of stuff, but empty of presence. You are being given a divine intervention right now to ensure that isn't your story. The key is in your hand. You can feel the weight of it. Your soulmate is waiting. They might be sitting right next to you, or they might be across the world, but the call is the same. The spiritual atmosphere is perfectly aligned for this breakthrough. Don't let another day go by where you settle for the minimum. The key isn't a burden, it's a gift. When you finally turn it and look them in the eye, you will hear the most beautiful sound in the universe. It's the sound of a soul coming home. Now we reach the most critical moment of this journey, the moment of decision. In the spiritual realm, there is no such thing as neutrality. You are either moving closer or you are drifting further away. There is no standing still. By watching this, you have already signaled to the universe that you are ready. But I have to be honest with you. The window of divine opportunity doesn't stay open forever. Energy moves in cycles, and right now, you are in a peak cycle. If you ignore the key now, the lock will only get heavier. The heart begins to believe that its silence was right all along. Do not let your soulmate fall into that darkness. Do not let the person who was literally carved from the same spiritual fabric as you feel like a stranger in their own home. Your final call to action isn't to buy a gift. Those are band-aids for a soul-level wound. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is much simpler and much more terrifying. You must initiate the great unveiling. Tonight, I want you to look at them and strip away all the history, all the arguments. See them as the sacred soul they are, and then, I want you to say the words that turn the key for good. Say to them, I've realized that I've been looking at the box, but I haven't been looking at you. I want you to know that whatever you are hiding, it is safe with me. I don't need you to be perfect. I just need you to be here. I'm ready to listen, for as long as it takes. Then, and this is the hardest part, you must be silent. You must hold that space while they decide if they can trust the opening. They might not speak right away. But stay steady. Stay in that key frequency. Your presence is the invitation they have been waiting for since the beginning of time. As we close this message, take a deep, grounding breath. Feel the power that has been restored to you. You are no longer a victim of a cold relationship. You are the creator of it. You carry the master key because you were trusted by the divine to hold it. The struggle is over. The walls are ready to come down. The locked box is about to be opened, revealing a treasure that will sustain you for the rest of your days. This is the love you were promised before you were even born. This is the union that the stars aligned for. Go now and turn the key. Your soulmate is waiting on the other side of that lock, and they have been waiting for you much longer than you realize. Believe in the connection. Trust the process. And above all, never ignore the power of the key you hold in your hand. May your journey into their heart be filled with grace. You are blessed, you are chosen, and you are finally, truly ready.